John, the decision to have Slay shadow more, is that something that you would have done no matter what, even if McCaffrey was still active, or, based upon what happened the previous week, or was it because of those reasons?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at how we want to try to defend people, we always look what we, have in our bucket, so to speak, to present the best matchups for our guys and for our opponents. So that's something that we've done a little bit the first couple weeks, and then this week you saw him almost exclusively travel with DJ. But that's really game plan specific if we continue to do that or not continue to do that. It's really just when we sit down and say, all right, who do we have to defend and what are our best matchups with what we're calling that week, does it make sense to do that? So I thought, Slay did an excellent job. He rose to the challenge, and, like all our players, he is a guy that, whatever I can do to help the team, that's what I'm going to do. So it was a good response from him.
You said it could be game plan specific, but we saw some stunts with the defensive line, maybe some different coverages. Are you able to kind of grow more or have the defense evolve more? Was there more of a comfort level with everybody?
No, I wouldn't say a comfort level. The stuff that we did in that game was basically first week of install of training camp. There was a little bit of, you guys probably saw a little bit of different multiplicity because it, ultimately it goes down to who we're defending, what we thought was good for that week. So, we could look like that again, or we could look like, week 1 or week 2, you don't really know. And that's obviously because who you're playing every week changes. So, the players executed that stuff that we asked them to do and made a bunch of plays, which was good to see.
Slay obviously likes that challenge of traveling with top receivers. How much has he vocalized that to you, and how much does that play into your decision when you're
he's a premium corner, so most of those premium corners in the league like that challenge because that shows it's their ability to show everyone that they are premium corners when you can go shut out a top guy. And but he also knows that if it's not the right thing for us that week, then he'll do what we ask of him. So he's been really good with that, as far as saying, okay, well, I want to go versus this guy. Yeah, but it's not the best thing for everybody else, Slay. Okay, I got it. Hey, this week we want you to go with DJ. Okay, got it. So he's been awesome to be around.
Speaking of that, I mean, when you look at the Buccaneers receivers, they got 3 top guys and Brown, Evans, and Godwin. I mean, what are your thoughts on those guys, and how do you go about trying to defend them? Yeah,
they got a really good group. You watch the tape, they make a bunch of plays, and they each, I always thought from a receiver standpoint, if you have 11 personnel out there and you got 3 guys, they all have different skill sets. And that makes it a big-time challenge because, how you have to defend each guy within each coverage, what we're playing, is different. And our guys have to grasp that and understand that, which we do because we have smart players. So, it's going to be a big-time challenge because, they got the best ever throwing it to them, too. And they got other weapons as well besides those 3 guys. So, I got a very high opinion of what they do down there, and it's going to be a big-time challenge.
With that said, though, you've previously said that you guys aren't a dime defense, but how difficult is it to avoid putting extra DBs on the field when they have the firepower in the passing game that they do?
What do you mean, how difficult?
I mean, they can match up. They can put Scotty Miller out there. They can put other wide receivers.
Yeah, they use. This is one of the offenses that uses 5 wide receivers, 4 wide receivers. Different groups. You got to see when those packages come on the field what makes sense for the situation in the game. Is it first and second down? Is it third down? Is it red zone? Is it 2-minute? Is it the end of the game? They do some unique things. So. We're going to have to use everything that we have in our tool bucket to defend them.
What's the life of a defensive coordinator like coming off a big win and then putting on the film and seeing, Tom Brady and the Bucs in 4 days?
Fun, challenge. I mean, this is obviously their, big time, but so is every offense. Every offense that you play in the NFL, there is no letdown. There's good players all across each team, and what's funny is you look at, you start to look at games as you go, and each offense presents different challenges by, who they have, how they play, what's their MO of how they play team football or who's calling the plays. But you look and you start looking at games and things, and it's like, okay, this team did a pretty good job against them. Well, what do they play? This team got throttled by them. What did they play? And then you look and you're like, man, these teams did the exact same thing, and they put up 45 versus them, and they put up 17 versus them. They played the exact same game plan. It's like, why did that happen? So, and ultimately it comes down to, again, like, and I was thinking about last week with your question, Jeff, we don't have a scheme. Let me clarify, you guys, what that really means to me is, like an offensive guy says, well, I'm a West Coast guy. Well, if you have Tom Brady, you're not going to run a West Coast offense, right? So I never really wanted, being on different defenses that I've been on, I never wanted to be labeled as, a Tampa 2 guy or a Seattle 3 guy or a pressure guy. Because those things can be good, and those defenses have been really good. Some of those teams that are known for playing that style, but if it doesn't match up with the people that you have in your building, or if it doesn't match up versus the people you're playing, good luck. So the whole non-scheme thing, that's really just saying, hey, each week we want to be able to adapt and adjust, putting our guys in a position to be able to make as many plays as possible with the offense that we are playing. So that's all kind of that was, because I kind of flubbed up over that, and I have said right from the jump, like, we don't have a scheme. Well, obviously we have a scheme. But the point of that is, and that's why it's awesome to be around the guys that we have, is we play differently week to week. And sometimes it might not look drastically different, but what's going on pre-snap and post-snap, it really is. So, and sometimes it's really good. Our guys execute and we put them in the right spot. And sometimes, obviously we have to improve. Like a couple weeks ago, like, we got to do a better job of putting them in better spots and executing better. So, everyone kind of runs the same stuff. It's who you have in your building and who you're defending. That's put our guys in the best position possible to make a bunch of plays.
What's your biggest challenge this week with only 4 days to prepare against a quarterback that's pretty much seen?
Well, we told our guys, I said, I wanted to do a bunch of stuff on Monday. We don't have any full speed reps. So throw that out the window. Like, this would be great, this new coverage. Well, how are we going to practice it? So really, ultimately, the challenge for us, John, is really being mentally fresh. And as coaches, you can help them with that by not having a lot on their plate, right? Because we want them to be physically fresh. I talked to our guys yesterday about, if you're mentally fatigued, your physical fatigue will show up quick. So, it was just, we got to maximize our meeting time, our walkthrough time. Today is like first, second, third down, 2-minute red zone. That's a big time day, when you start looking at your slamming 3 days together into one. But they have to do the same thing as well. So the challenge that we put forth to our guys is you got to grasp the game plan. You got to watch a little more tape. Your process this week is different. So was mine. I told our guys, I said, I got to catch up on some tape. I haven't watched as much tape as it was yesterday than I have normally, like at this point in the week. So, your process, all of our process had to change a little bit. But we're ready for the challenge. We'll be ready.
Does Davion Taylor have 3 down abilities?
I'm sorry.
Does Davion Taylor, we saw more of him this past week. Does he have that ability?
Yeah, he's doing a good job. You see his playing time going up, and that goes into, he did a really good job in training camp, and then he got hurt. And we want to keep trying to maximize his skill set and get him in the game as much as we can in certain packages when it fits for him and us. So pleased with him, and he did a really good job.
What has changed the last 2 weeks with Gennard Avery getting all the reps at that same spot instead of rotating?
Just a little bit of matchup driven, I would say. What the fronts that we've been in the last 2 weeks, that particular front, his skill set allows him to be pretty successful in that. But Pat will continue to play.
I think you said that you broke down the season in like 4-game subsets, that you look at it where, quarters of the season and go from there. Mm-hmm. So now that we're kind of into the second subset,
Yeah.
what'd you take from that, the first one, and If you could.
Good question. I'll probably do that this weekend. Because it's kind of a short, obviously the short week, so it'd be a 5 game subset, but 6 game. I take from it that we've done some good things, but we've been a little like this. So to me, and it's what our head coach talks about, you really want to be doing that. So, that's what we're striving to get to, is improve daily and not have these big, the highs and the lows. And that happens in the course of an NFL season. Everybody goes through it. It's just that you'd like to be continually to ascend and get a little bit better every day, coaches and players, and you're really playing your best ball when it not that these games don't matter, but when you're in the hunt and to get into dance, so you want to be peaking at the right time. But to me, is with our guys in a new year one, is let's just continually improve a little bit better from the coaches to the players, and give ourselves a chance to win games.